morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. And boy, do we have a busy show in store for you. We have a lot of updates on the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk, a lot of op-eds, opinion pieces, a lot of, sadly, as I'm sure that you've heard or seen, if you frequent social media, the hate. We're going to be talking about that, some of it hitting local. So that's, well, we're going to begin with viewer comments. But also, later on in the program, former Congressman Tom Reed, friend of Frankly Speaking, he's going to be joining us. He was on social media encouraging people to come together. We're going to read that post a little bit later on. Excuse me, I have a little frog in my throat. And then we're going to be talking with Tom in this hour. Then at the top of the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to be talking with Barbara Blumer. She is a part of, and in full disclosure, I'm a part of this group too, the Corning Dwayne Eddy Circle, because the unveiling of the historic marker is right around the corner, and I want you to hear all about it. So we have so many comments to get to. Let's get right to it. Sorry, I'm still putting them together. That's how great it's been. From yesterday, a viewer writes in, Charlie could have taken Rush Limbaugh's place. He'd still be alive and able to talk to millions per day. I know that Charlie had a podcast. Didn't he also have a radio program? The only reason I ask is I was near signing his syndicated program right when the radio station changed owners, because I realized that was going to be a successful and popular program. But I don't know if he just decided to go directly to podcasts. I know he was guests on numerous podcasts, but interesting take on that. Thank you. Comment from a different viewer. Excellent job on the show today. This was after yesterday's broadcast. It was comforting to watch. Thank you. Well, thank you for saying that. I will say it was very cathartic to have all the viewers write in and then be able to talk to former Congressman, current Assemblyman Joe Sempolinski, and talk through our grieving, talk through our pain. Now, of course, it's not gone, but it gave us a little, for lack of a better word, a little distraction from the sadness. So I appreciated it, and I appreciate Joe being on the program, but I appreciate just as much, if not more, your comments throughout the broadcast. Comment from a different viewer. Very good morning to you, Frank. Well, very good morning to you. I have some good news for us Republicans. On Thursday, I went to get my hair cut, and in view of it being the anniversary of 9/11 and the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk, the subject of politics naturally came up. The young woman who cut my hair would be about 18 years old this year. She not only embraced Charlie's message, she knew him better than I did, but felt the same way about Democrats as all logical Republicans do, and will vote straight Republican come next election. Glad to see and hear that young people see the world as it is and not as the Democrats fantasize that it is. Charlie's legacy lives on. Hooray. And it absolutely does. There's a piece I hope I can get to later on, but we're so jam-packed this morning. That a young person wrote in, to the New York Post saying, we support Charlie. He was speaking to us. He believed in us. We believe in him, and the message is going nowhere. A comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Hey, good morning, Mark. Giving us a couple of the big stories of the day. UK fires its ambassador to Washington over the Epstein files. I did see that. If you're going to play, you're going to pay. And multiple historic black colleges and universities are shut down due to threats. I had not seen that story. I'll have to do a little digging. Finally, Charlie Kirk was shot with a .30-06. That was the weapon that was discovered on the university grounds. May Charlie Kirk rest in peace. Thank you very much. I agree. Comment from a different viewer. Great show yesterday. Thank you. We needed to hear Joe's take on the assassination. He has a unique common sense way of putting things into perspective, like Charlie Kirk. He does. And I talked with him before and I said, we could spend the whole, nearly an hour with Joe just talking about Charlie Kirk. Just like we spent the first hour of the program, you and I talking about Charlie Kirk. But I think Joe traveling, coming in, in his knowledge on the federal government, the state government, the local government. I think it would have been a disservice to everyone if we didn't have a conversation after that and have the topics discussed. So I appreciate, and I was wondering how to go over it because yesterday was such a somber show, and today is too. I mean, we have so much to talk about here, and there's so many things to make you angry, unfortunately, in people's comments. So not viewer comments, and just what's being said on social media, what's being said by our elected leaders and media talking heads. So we're going to be talking about all of that. But first, some updates from yesterday. Utah's governor says more than 7,000 tips have been submitted in the Charlie Kirk killing as the manhunt continues. Undoubtedly, you have seen the photo that they released. I know that there's a $100,000 reward from the FBI for information leading to the identification and arrest of the person responsible for murdering Kirk. And they've been releasing the video. I guess there's video now that I saw in the New York Post this morning of him, how he got off of the building, jumping off the building. The images show a person wearing a shirt and a baseball cap and sunglasses. So we'll keep you updated. I'll be checking throughout the show. Yesterday we heard, I think it gave me goosebumps, to be honest, completely honest. It was so touching. President Trump is going to give Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. Charlie was a giant of his generation, a champion of liberty, and an inspiration to millions and millions of people. I'm pleased to announce that I will soon be awarding Charlie Kirk posthumously the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Our prayers are with his wonderful wife, Erica, and his beautiful children. The date of the ceremony will be announced, and I can only guarantee you one thing, that we will have a very big crowd. Very, very big. And I couldn't agree more. That is going to be a major event to honor Charlie Kirk. Utah State Senator Daniel McKay has launched a fundraiser to establish a permanent memorial at Utah Valley University for Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated on campus. We know exactly what happened, but McKay, State Senator Daniel McKay, saying, "We come together with heavy hearts to honor the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk, a fearless voice for truth, freedom, and conservative values. Charlie's unwavering commitment to empowering young people, defending liberty, and fostering critical thinking touched countless lives, including many at Utah Valley University. His passion for engaging students in meaningful dialogue and inspiring civic responsibility left an indelible mark on our campus and beyond." Now, McKay has set the fundraising goal to $50,000 to create a dignified and lasting tribute. The fundraiser has already amassed, as of late last night, $2,000 from 39 separate donations. One donor writing, "God bless Charlie Kirk's family and may he rest in peace in the arms of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. One of a generation that ignited an entire generation. A bullet can't stop him. Let's keep his memory, mission, and momentum alive. Thanks for organizing this." Senator McKay said the memorial will be a beautifully crafted monument that reflects Charlie's stature and influence, and will include a quote from Kirk saying, "Good men must die, but death can't kill their names." These words reflect the timeless truth that Charlie's name, ideas, and influence will live on in the hearts and minds of those he inspired. The memorial will serve as a gathering place for students, faculty, and visitors to reflect on Charlie's legacy of courage, conviction, and dedication to fostering open discourse. It will stand as a beacon of inspiration, encouraging future generations at UVU to engage boldly in the battle of ideas and stand firm in their principles. The donations will cover the cost of design and construction, the plaque and inscription, landscaping and maintenance, and permits and approval. So that is on a GoFundMe. Also, Give, Send, Go has been started to raise $1 million for Charlie Kirk's family. Supporters of Charlie Kirk have a goal of $1 million. The co-founder of Give, Send, Go, a crowdfunding platform founded on Christian values of charity for those in need, posted the campaign to Twitter on Wednesday night, just hours after Kirk was shot and killed, assassinated, at the first stop of his American comeback tour. We are getting lots of campaigns created for the family of Charlie Kirk from well-intentioned people all over. We will ensure that all funds raised are directly transferred to the family. The campaign was created by Liberty Memes Foundation, which describes itself as a 501c3 organization whose mission is to promote liberty and volunteerism through community action and crowd-funded causes. The organization writes, for Charlie Kirk, wife, and children, Charlie Kirk was cut down by a cowardly gunman. He leaves behind a grieving family. 100% of proceeds from the fund will be given directly to his wife and children, paid out directly from Give, Send, Go. Liberty Memes Foundation will not take any percentage of proceedings from the fundraiser. Wells described Kirk as a model of love for Jesus who fearlessly stood against the kingdom of darkness. It has been stated, and Joe Sempolinski said it on the program yesterday, and numerous people have said it, that it's almost a pre-presidential assassination, meaning that many believe Charlie Kirk had the potential and the fortitude to be a president of the United States. Now, at 31, we're not talking next go around or maybe after 2 terms of Vance. And according to a host on CNBC, Joe Kernan, he said that President Trump told him he believed Charlie Kirk would have been president someday. He's devastated about Charlie Kirk and said, what a guy, what a great individual. And he said he helped him greatly in the last election and thinks that Charlie Kirk could have been president someday. He was such a talented guy. And there's been numerous people who have said that. And I have an opinion piece on that. I wanted to get more to the breaking news this morning before we got into opinion pieces. But, many calling him a once-in-a-generation leader. It was Benny Johnson, that's who it was, who has a piece out this morning at Fox saying, I worked with Charlie Kirk for more than a decade. America lost a future president. By every measure, Charlie Kirk is an American martyr, a Christian soldier. He died as he lived, fighting for light in the darkest corners of America. And the moment he died, Charlie was engaging young people, debating calmly, answering questions about the rising tide of violence and radicalism in our country. Charlie was illuminating the path forward for a lost generation of Americans. Then, in an instant, a faceless coward ended Charlie's life with a single shot. Charlie died defending peaceful free speech and debate. Charlie is a true American martyr, taken home by the Lord God before his time. I don't know why this happened. I don't have the answers, but I do know what Charlie would want right now is for Jesus Christ to be glorified. And he goes on to talk about his time working with him at Turning Point USA. This is Benny Johnson. He said, I've never shared this story before, but when my family's safety was at risk in Washington, D.C., Charlie immediately opened his home to us. No questions, no hesitation. We stayed there for months while we rebuilt our lives. His generosity gave my family safety, stability, and hope. That was Charlie. Always steady, always selfless, always putting others first. I have a thriving, growing family in Florida today because of Charlie. Multiply this effect by millions of young lives, and you start to see the generational force he was. Charlie's faith in Jesus Christ was his bedrock. God worked through Charlie in prophetic ways. We all saw it. The longer you observed Charlie, the more something else became clear. Charlie was going to become president one day. His influence was growing exponentially, and that influence was threatening very dark forces. Make no mistake, the killing of Charlie Kirk was a political assassination. Evil wanted to cut Charlie down before he became unstoppable. Charlie was a target because he was winning. He spent his life guiding a generation towards truth, faith, and love for this country. Charlie didn't just speak about values, he lived them every day. That made him powerful and also made Charlie a target of the evil he was fighting. And because he was unyielding, they acted. Charlie Kirk died as an American martyr, giving his life for the values that built this nation. To honor him, we must carry on his mission. The responsibility to continue his work is ours. This is a moment of national reckoning. The forces that stole Charlie from us must be defeated. Charlie's life was a call to action. His death is a warning. This is America's turning point. That was Benny Johnson. We have some other updates on this. Still, I know many of you are still grieving. I see in the comments. I see it in the reactions. Went to that amazing first responders 9/11 tribute that they have every year in Gang Mills and Irwin, and just had some conversations where we all couldn't believe it. In two ways, that it's been 24 years since the September 11th terrorist attack, but also what happened to Charlie Kirk. That was a major conversation I had with people, and just people in shock, still in awe. It had an even bigger significance in some ways when Taps was played, and when you heard the prayer. It was. I don't think there was too many dry eyes in the house, but this has shaken so many people, and obviously so, rightfully so, broken so many hearts. So we're going to talk quite a bit more about this, and as I said, we're going to have former Congressman Tom Reed in on the program to discuss it. He's got a piece, well, not necessarily a piece, a post that he shared yesterday. We're going to try to read that before we get to his interview. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. This viewer writes in, good morning, Frank. Well, good morning to you. Well, I tried to avoid social media. Sadly, I saw a fair amount of disgusting comments. All I can say is these people have no soul. Heartbroken emoji. I've got to say, I know we talk about kind of the dregs of society on social media, how bad it can get. I seriously underscored it, what it was. I don't go on social media, in full disclosure, that much. But I know yesterday, 2 days ago, when the assassination took place, I went on because it's weird, but sometimes you get your news almost faster there. Certain information is not always true, faster. And when I saw some of the comments and the giddiness, whatever you think about Charlie Kirk and his political beliefs, I would rather be on the side that supports Charlie Kirk, even if you think his opinion's wrong, than be on the side that supports someone's gruesome death. I mean, it's almost become cliche with this idea of the party that's so tolerant, right? That's what they tell us, that everything's about tolerance and love for each other. My goodness. Now, J.D. Vance transported Charlie Kirk's body home in what is a very touching tribute. If you saw the photos, Vice President J.D. Vance personally accompanied Charlie Kirk's body from Utah back home to Arizona, a touching final tribute and a long friendship that helped launch the former President Trump critic into the White House and onto the international stage. Vance canceled plans to attend a 9/11 commemoration at Ground Zero in Manhattan at the last minute, opting instead to travel to Utah with his wife Usha aboard Air Force Two to be with Kirk's family and friends. From there, the Turning Point USA founders' remains were loaded into the vice president's plane and flown back to Phoenix with Vance at their side. The president's transport is a touching close to a friendship that began around 2017 when Vance was just coming around to Trump after staunch opposition during the 2016 election, a trajectory Kirk had also followed before becoming one of the president's loudest champions himself. And I told you the story yesterday about their friendship, but I thought that was so nice. Turning Point USA broke their silence yesterday, saying every one of us at Turning Point USA is crushed and devastated by the hateful murder of our founder and guiding light, Charlie Kirk. All of us have lost a leader, a mentor, and a friend. Above all, our hearts are with Erica and their 2 children. Charlie was the ideal husband and the perfect father. Above all else, we ask you to pray for the Kirks after the incomprehensible loss that they have suffered. More than anyone, Charlie believed in the power of argument and good faith debate to find the truth and guide people toward it, if not agreement, then at least mutual understanding. Charlie was no stranger to threats. He received thousands throughout his life, but he always prioritized reaching as many young Americans as possible over his own personal safety. Now Charlie has become America's greatest martyr to the freedom of speech he so adored. In his 31 years, Charlie lived more than any of us will in 100. He had an overwhelming passion for life and a deep belief in his power as an individual to make a difference. With the spirit of a pioneer, Charlie launched Turning Point out of his parents' garage as an 18-year-old with no money, no name recognition, only a dream. His energy and drive are awe-inspiring, without equal, and deeply infectious. Charlie refused to squander a single day of his life. He was a natural builder and problem solver who loved the challenge and saw every setback as a chance to learn, grow, pray, and try again. He was fundamentally decent, always eager to make new friends and allies and to support and defend the ones he's already made. His values were timeless American ones: honesty, forthrightness, duty, loyalty, and fair play. Charlie loved America, its people, its Constitution, its freedom, and the limitless good all of them have done for the world. But above all, Charlie lived every day with an overflowing love of the Christ he knew he would one day get to see. When asked, Charlie said that above all, he wished to be remembered for his faith. Far more than any political victory, Charlie wanted to see a spiritual revival among America's youth. He wanted a nation of happy, thriving families who loved God and each other. The organization added that Kirk's final public speech, just days before his murder, he witnessed to Christ to an audience of non-believers. Even in his very last moments, Charlie was professing the gospel. He ran his race well, all the way to the end. Now he goes to his heavenly reward. Although Charlie is gone, his legacy will endure. He shall not grow old, age shall not weary him. For all time, he will remain the brave young man who inspired tens of millions of Americans to better themselves and take action to better America. All of us will miss Charlie. None of us will ever forget him. That is the statement from Turning Point USA. Now, it is interesting, and I got to take a break because we've got Tom Reed coming up in just a second. But the last person to debate Charlie Kirk, and it became kind of a conspiracy theory because he asked a question about trans shooters. And they have interviewed him. He's a UVU mathematics student, Hunter Kozak, 29, who goes by the name Hunter Stacks online. He attended the event and asked the question, do you know how many transgender Americans have been mass shooters over the last 10 years? That type of thing. You've heard it by now. But he had an interesting point on this when they asked him about the question. He said, people have obviously pointed out the irony that the point I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was right before he got shot. And that only makes sense if we stay peaceful. So again, saying, and irony is not necessarily a strong enough word, but I understand what he's saying. People have obviously pointed out the irony that the point I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was right before he was shot. And that only makes sense if we stay peaceful. And he said of those that are celebrating it online, first off, you sick blanking psychos that think this is the answer. It's not, as he came close to tears. I'm on the record with how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk, but he's still a human being. Have we forgotten that? Are we crazy? Charlie had 2 kids and a wife, and not to make this about me, but I have 2 kids and a wife. And if my 1-year-old boy, like his 1-year-old boy, would grow up without memories of his dad, it's a tragedy. I stand by so little of everything that he said, but one of the things that he stood by was conversation. We have, by the way, the State Department is threatening to strip visas from foreigners who glorify violence in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination. We'll talk about some of this. I hate to, but we will talk about some of the vile things that are being said, not just by those online trolls. Teachers, one locally in Naples you may have heard about. We'll talk about that. But also politicians, the media. When we come back, we will read what former Congressman Tom Reed had to say. And then we're going to interview him coming up here in just a little bit. I want to tell everyone it is a somber, sad Friday, as Climate Fact Friday Bob has said. But there is going to be a Climate Fact Friday Bob. Oh, no. He's going to postpone. I was going to postpone my weekly. I'm glad you didn't. What would Charlie say? Exactly. We're going to read that, but because I can be a pain when it comes to this, scheduling-wise, it is going to be in the 7 o'clock hour after we have our second interview with Barbara Blumer, because I know people really look forward to it, and I don't want to rush Climate Fact Friday Bob, okay? But I'm glad that you changed your mind, Bob, and I appreciate that. I think we all do. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Comment from a viewer. I'm hearing of many who have been fired for their comments made on social media. Many of them are teachers. Yes, there's actually kind of a, I'm not going to say it's an extensive list, but there's quite a few pages of various teachers and throughout the country who have said disgusting, despicable things about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And this viewer goes on to say, for example, I hear of a case in Naples where a so-called teacher has been put on leave for his post. I'll read those before we read Tom Reed's comment. I was appalled that what I saw included his photo of himself wearing a "Is he dead yet" t-shirt, I'm guessing meaning Trump, along with "Abolish ICE." Anyway, sorry so lengthy. No, it's great. My point is, while I'm, for one, glad they're fired, I can't help but wonder about freedom of speech. I'd rather have a few idiots spew their nastiness than lose this invaluable right we have. I would agree, but there is freedom of speech. And that person, that teacher, does have freedom of speech. Freedom of speech still has consequences. So he is an educator. He is educating the youth of this country. And this is what he's saying online, and I'll read it here in just a second. Again, if I go into my job, or if I go on the air here, or if I go on social media and say some horrific thing, same with you, if you do it. Do you think your boss is going to say, come on in? No problem. Because you have a right, free speech right. You still have that free speech right. No one arrested him. He still has it. But that comes with consequences. That's why sometimes there's a misunderstanding there, because if you remember Colin Fitzpatrick, right? Oh my gosh, I never thought I forgot that name. No, what? Not Fitzpatrick. Colin Kaepernick. My goodness. I never thought I'd forget that name. But that's why there's so many people outraged saying that he had his First Amendment right taken away from him. That wasn't the case. I mean, he could take a knee. He took a knee. Nothing happened except for he lost his job, allegedly, because of that. I don't think, whatever. We don't have to get into all that and relitigate that. But there are consequences to what you say. Ask any boss. They're not going to let you get away with saying anything. It's just, but again, you have a right to say it. This is what he said. I got to be careful. Charlie Kirk, this is a teacher from Naples, right down the road. Charlie Kirk, who said that gun violence is a price worth paying for his version of the Second Amendment, spent his last coherent moments baselessly blaming transgender people for gun violence and arguing for stripping them of exactly those rights. The aspiring Goebbels was interrupted by a bullet to the neck, which quickly cured him of, and the acronym stands for high velocity lead deficiency. And shortly thereafter, he became a good Nazi, because only good Nazis die young. Good riddance to bad garbage. So he posts that. A teacher, I think he's a physics teacher, I want to say. He posts that, so Naples Central School said, hey, we're looking into it. Don't worry, because they're getting a lot of backlash. So he decides, let's double, triple down. This is where I got to be really careful. A couple of my recent posts have gone viral, and now some blank, MAGA blank, who are probably half robots, that would be the smarter half, IQ 0 algorithms, by the way, are saying they're going to get me fired because teachers shouldn't be cursing on social media. And it's like, sure, buddy, get in line behind everyone else trying to get me fired. First off, you probably don't exist. Second, you're not going to call my boss. Third, they already know I'm unrepentantly vulgar on social media and wish I wouldn't be, but are resigned to putting up with it. Because fourth, and listen to the arrogance, I have tenure and seniority in the strongest union state in the country, and they only have to put up with me for 7 more years. Come get some, you purportedly supporting fascists who almost definitely are actually, but again, saying they're Russian bots. The whole reason I'm this loud is because others are afraid to be. Trump is a fascist and his supporters are fascists who are okay with their cult leader, blah, 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 blah. So he's very assured that he can say anything and celebrate the death of a 31-year-old father of 2. When I say death, the assassination of a 31 father of 2 because his political beliefs, this teacher, are more important than any civility, any type of, I mean, if someone says something that he doesn't like, he has no problem in celebrating their death. Okay. And then he is very self-assured that the school's not going to do anything about it. This coming out late yesterday, a Naples Central School District employee has been put on leave over their post about the assassination of right-wing pundit Charlie Kirk. The close So, now placed on leave. This is the exact statement. Like so many of you, I was shocked and saddened to hear of the terrible tragedy that transpired in Utah where Charlie Kirk was assassinated. This is the district's statement. Last evening, the district became aware that an NCS staff member made multiple posts to a personal social media site referencing this tragedy. Since that time, we have heard from many community members regarding concerns and outrage related to these posts. I want to be very direct in saying that all of your voices have been heard. It is comforting to know the NCS community values kindness, empathy, compassion, and civility. As a district, we stand with you, doing all we can to uphold these values, which are essential to model for our students. In response to this matter, a formal investigation is underway, and the district will follow all establishment policies and procedures. The employee has been placed on leave pending the outcome of the investigation. As this involves a personnel matter, the district will make no further statements about the matter. So, not necessarily fired, but on leave, which means that they're probably getting paid. But I talked to many people that said, take the lawsuit. If the union's going to sue over this, go for it. You're going to win in the court of public opinion. So yeah, that's not the only one. I would highly recommend go to the New York Post. Gleeful school teachers celebrate Charlie Kirk assassination in horrific, ghoulish posts. And so it wasn't just in Naples. It looks like we are not going to be able to get to former Congressman Tom Reed's post on Facebook. I would highly recommend that you look for it online, but we're going to talk about it. It makes sense to still talk about his opinion on it. We just don't have time because we have to take a break here in just a moment. If you want, after the fact, maybe the 7 o'clock hour, I can read it. But there is so much coming out that I think we have to get to some of this. Ilhan Omar from the Squad, Representative Ilhan Omar, went on a cruel rant about murdered conservative activist Charlie Kirk. This is an elected leader. Now, we know she is radical. We know some of the terrible things she said in the past. She said, there are a lot of people who are talking about him, didn't even say his name, just wanting to have a civil debate. These people are full of baloney. Didn't say baloney. And it's important for us to call them out while we feel anger and sadness. There's nothing more, we'll say messed up, than to pretend that his words and actions haven't been recorded and in existence for the last decade or so. So again, words are akin to violence. That is, and ironically, this started right around Charlie Kirk founding Turning Point USA on college campuses. It's when words became akin to violence. So if I say something, even inadvertently, if I say something that hurts your feelings, not physically harm you, if I say something that hurts your feelings or you disagree with, you then have a right in these people's minds to physically attack me. And you will see signs. Words are akin to violence. And isn't that exactly what Representative Ilhan Omar is saying? Unfortunately, she's not the only Democrat that had similar statements, like J.B. Pritzker. Remember that we mentioned yesterday. I don't want to go through all of it because we have to take a break. We have former Congressman Tom Reed. We'll get to some of the real nastiness later on, but I do have to take a break. But thank you for that comment. I know that was a long way to answer your viewer comment, but I do appreciate it. All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, former Congressman Tom Reed. Stay with us. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and in that Zoom studio this morning, we have former Congressman Tom Reed. Tom, I'd say it's great to see you. I just wish it wasn't under these circumstances.
I would agree, Frank. I'm always appreciative to be on your show, but also spend time with you and with the folks of the audience.
Mm-hmm. Tom, before you came on, I read your recent post, and I think, well, let's start with this. Why did you, and I think we know the answer, why did you feel the need to kind of, in a way, pour out your heart in this way?
Every time you have a tragic situation like this, and it truly is one of the dark days in America's history, when an individual is using his rights of free speech to think that somehow an individual would assassinate that individual, and especially see those videos that now are on the internet for all of time. It just reminds me how we have to stop this hatred, that this extremism that motivates this. It just you have to stand up to it. And so I use the forums that I still have available to me to weigh in and express how I truly and genuinely feel. We need leadership. We need people to stand up for those that are, even today, I saw some commentary in social media that was just despicable.
Yes.
And you don't have to do that. And you shouldn't do that. And shame on them for doing that.
I couldn't agree more. And I said this on yesterday's program. I had to put down the social media. I'm not a big social media guy anyway, but to see this, just the only term I could use is evil that people are pushing for something like you said is basically a fundamental right in this country, which is the free expression of ideas.
And to not recognize all the people that have gone before us, that have shed their blood for that freedom of free speech, that we are a beacon of hope for so many people around the world that I've had the honor to travel with, to see firsthand, that are oppressed and that are looking for the opportunity to have that freedom, and to see it just spat upon in such a horrific way yesterday. But on top of it, to see people after that event to somehow celebrate it, justify it.
Yeah.
It's despicable. And I just look at them and I just shake my head in disbelief. But at the end of the day, too, you have to inspire people with hope and optimism, and say, I don't stand for hatred or fear, and I applaud Charlie Kirk and him for standing up, going into, we did a lot of town halls.
I was going to ask you about that.
Those with me. And he's doing what he believes in. He's doing what he felt needed to be done, and he was doing it in a way. I watched some of those speeches, and you may not agree with what he's saying, but he did it in a very articulate, based on fact, and he was respectful in those exchanges. I really didn't see any clips where he lost his cool and attacked people. And I tried to do the same thing in regards to my town halls. Respect people, try to listen to them, and then maybe in that dialogue, you're able to have a conversation where you could actually hear each other, just as opposed to just yelling at each other. And then for him to take a bullet, the way that he did, I just pray for his family and for all the kids that were there on a college campus that are going to be scarred for the rest of their life. And now that scene is up on the internet, people that's not going to go away.
No.
And I'll tell you, the people around the world are looking to America to be hope, to be free. And I just get emotional about it, Frank, because I love this country with all my heart.
Right.
And to see that event yesterday, freedom is so precious.
It is.
Reminds me of Ronald Reagan. Democracy and freedom is only a generation away from being lost. And it's time for us to lead. It's time for us to step forward as a nation and say enough is enough. This is not acceptable.
No, the rhetoric, the constant rhetoric. I mean, even look at some of the coverage when the news was breaking, where some of the media have since been fired over it. But to blame, the victim blame, right? I thought this was interesting. Charlie started Turning Point USA right around 2012. And I would say, being on the radio at the time, I remember it was around that time, and you'll remember, Tom, when people, specifically on college campuses, started to say that words are akin to violence. So if I say something that you don't like, it's no longer sticks and stones, you have a right to violently attack me because I hurt your feelings. And this is kind of the culmination of that warped mindset.
Totally agree with that, Frank. Yeah. Totally agree with that. And how we got here, we can have show upon show upon show about that. My life right now is dedicated to living today and to be hopeful for tomorrow. And so if I can be part of the voice, and that's what our Committee of the American Majority, that's my 501c4 and we have a C3 Institute of Caring, that I do part-time in regards to public service, trying to give back, participate. I was up in the Capitol yesterday with some of my old colleagues in the leadership offices. And I'll tell you, Tim Scott, he led us in a prayer, a small group of us, and he is a true friend, but he's also a true American who's got a great story. And his prayer, I was basically in tears, because he expressed it so well. He just said, let's pray for our country. And to see people like Katie Tur, I've been on her show.
I know.
That's MSNBC. That's the one I believe you're referring to.
Yeah, there's two different ones. Yeah.
Or at least
she hasn't been fired. There was somebody else, I think Ed Martin, that was fired. But yeah.
Okay. I mean, and I heard her comments, and I'm like, I've been on her show. I've interacted with her. She knows better.
Yeah.
Media has a responsibility too, not to I get you got to sell time. I get you got to sell TV, ads and things like that. You want your ratings up and all that. But come on. In these moments, media needs to show class. It has to show just basic respect
Yeah.
and professionalism.
I know.
My God, someone was killed. Don't seize that moment.
And a young
Don't seize
father
that
with
moment for
two
ratings.
children. Two children, Tom. One
Beautiful
is
children.
1 year old, I believe, and the other 3 years old. To your point, when they searched their father's name, I thought Melania Trump had just gave me goosebumps what she said about now they're not going to be able to make memories. They have to hear stories kind of idea. That when they search his name, God forbid, but that video is going to be everywhere.
They're going to see it.
Yeah.
And it's ingrained now in our collective psyche. And I'm not naive enough to say that we haven't been here before as a nation. Think about JFK.
You're right.
I mean, John Lewis, God rest his soul, he was a personal friend of mine. He told me stories about Martin Luther King. It was his friend.
Right.
I stood on Edmund Pettus Bridge with him. You know, these things do occur in our country's history, but we're living now. We're part of the generation that can stand up to it, and the next generation needs to be taught that this is unacceptable. And it reminds me of my town halls, where I had that 4-year-old spit on, encouraged by her father. I don't know if you were at that town hall.
I remember
it over
vividly.
in Jamestown. Yeah, over in Jamestown, and a 4-year-old on her father's shoulder being encouraged to spit on me by her dad because he disagreed with where I was expressing my position on an issue. That can't happen in America, and it's incumbent upon all of us. And I know right now.
Uh-oh. We might have lost you a little bit there, Tom. Hold on. I'm going to see if you come back. Let's give it just a second. I think we got a little bit of a skip, a little bit of lag here. We'll see. Why don't we take a short break, and we'll come back and we'll log back in with Tom Reed. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking. We are back with Frankly Speaking. We have Tom Reed back with us. Tom, before we had a little bit of a glitch because that's the fun of Zoom, isn't it? We were talking about town halls. And I'm sure a lot of people wonder in today's climate with the tragedy with Charlie Kirk, but also before that, when you saw these town halls, much akin to what you experienced, where people just shouting and screaming and not wanting to have the conversation. If you were still in office, what would your opinion of doing a town hall be today?
You know, it's interesting. My wife and I just talked about that because, you know, she was always worried when
sure.
I went out there, especially we had some very heated town halls in Ithaca, for example, and some other areas, but many, when you had that 4-year-old spitting on the fist fight that broke out over in the northern end of Chautauqua County that we broke up. I had to tell her honestly, no, you still have to engage. And we should be inspired by what Charlie Kirk was doing. He was going into the den in order to engage in the debate, and with that right of freedom of speech comes a responsibility to use it again to inspire and give people hope, and to stand up to hate and ignorance. And I will tell you, I would do them without hesitation. I would do them. You know, I would just trust the professionals that are there to protect us. But, you know, you can be walking down the street, and if it's your time, it's your time. But in the meantime, be smart. We would definitely make sure that we're doing the best we can to protect myself and the people that are there at those events who are also enjoying their freedom of speech and dialogue. But, you know, so don't be naive, don't be stupid, but you still have to do it, in my humble opinion.
And you look at it with Charlie Kirk and, of course, the two attempts on President Trump's life. And are we, and I hope I don't, I want to hear the right answer to this. Are we to the point where we're going to become numb to this, where it's not the breaking story?
No.
Okay.
I can't imagine, because there's too much goodness in America. I see the extremism. I see the fringes on the political movements that are there. But I still, the silent majority, the vast majority of Americans are good people. They're not going to put up with this. And if they ever become numb to it, we are past the point of no return. And it just, I don't see we're going to get there. I mean, we had a civil war. I'm a big history buff, as you know. You know, things can get worse. They can get worse. But at the end of the day, decency and good people are who reside in America. And they will, I don't think we'll ever become numb to this.
Right, and I think sometimes, as is human nature, we focus on the horrible things that we've seen on social media or maybe some talking head pundit said. But overall, I would say the people that you talk to, no matter what part of the political spectrum, have sent at least their thoughts to the family, have talked about how they're heartbroken over what can only be deemed a tragedy. So I know it's human nature to focus on the negative, but there is a lot of positive comments coming from both sides, wishing his family the best.
There really are. Then it reminds me. I mean, today's 9/11.
Yeah.
I know we're taping this.
Yeah, but
and Charlie Kirk was yesterday. But 9/11 also is something we cannot become numb to that. We are under attack, both now domestically, but from enemies from afar, and it's going on, and it's a sad state of our affairs. But at the end of the day, I think there's better angels in America. I stand with those better angels. I try to do my work today to help those better angels be in a position of influence and to be leaders of today and tomorrow. And that's what I'm continuing to do with my non-for-profit work.
And I want to hear more about that non-for-profit work. But before that, how do you think, when we watch this and we're all still heartbroken, we're still grieving, how do you think as a nation we heal to the point where a town hall doesn't resort to screaming matches?
I think what you do is you look to the heroes, you look to the leaders, and as individuals, we pass it on in our household to our children, to our brothers, to our sisters, to our friends, and just if there's an opportunity. I had a college roommate who was attacked in his little text chain where people were getting over the line, and he stood up to it. And I said, Brad, I applaud you. That's what it's going to take. So I think it's all of us collectively, but also as a nation and as leaders.
And do you see, and then you don't have to name names, but do you see those leaders emerging as we move forward? Do you think there's more leaders perhaps, or is it, are we still searching for some?
I think we're still searching for some, but at the same time, like I said, I was with Tim Scott yesterday. He is a true leader. He has lived a life story because he's a personal friend. That's inspiring. And so I see those every day when I'm in D.C., but I also see them when I'm traveling the country. I see people stepping up in their local communities. I see the Little League coaches. I see the teachers.
Exactly.
I see the police officers. I know a lot of the people over in Steuben County. They're right there.
Oh, yeah.
You have the sheriff on, Jim Allard.
All the time.
He's a good man.
Yes.
All the time, right?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of good people stepping forward for elected office. And hopefully maybe out of this tragedy that inspires someone to run for local office, like yourself. You stepped up to serve your local community. Just good-hearted people recognize it's a responsibility. It's a blessing to have freedom, but it's a responsibility to lead. And,
I said from day one on the television version of Frankly Speaking that the goal of this was to bring back the community aspect, because I know you've seen the polls where it was people were losing faith in their community, faith in faith, all these things that really are what you think of when you think of America. And, we can only do our own little part to say, okay, you know what? These people are running for town council or city council. Let's have them on the show so you can learn about who they are. Because it's not going to be fixed in a day. It's got to be little by little, piece by piece to get us back to normal.
And that's the responsibility of us as citizens of a great democracy in America. We each have to step up in our own way. And I know it's hard. I know people carry a lot of burden, but you can do it in such little ways.
You really can.
Going and standing with your local community at a charitable event, or just doing the right thing, walking down the street, saying hello to somebody
smiling
that you don't know, and smiling.
Yeah, I know.
And just saying, hey, you look like you need a pat on the back today, or just a handshake, or just, hey, how you doing?
Exactly.
When we lose our temper at the grocery store, maybe reflect on it and go, maybe I shouldn't do that. And it's
and we've
hard.
all done it.
We've all been there.
I know.
We've all done it. But at the end of the day, maybe this inspires the better angels amongst us to step forward.
And what's encouraging in a way, and as you said, we are filming this on September 11th. I went to, and I know you went to it numerous times, the First Responders Memorial in Irwin and Gang Mills. And it's so encouraging to have, when you go to park, that you're parking in a dirt field because it's so crowded, because there's so many people that want to attend on a Thursday at 11. That's the kind of community that I'm talking about. That's what we want to see. We need more of that.
totally more that. And I flew back from DC today, and so I was at DCA this morning, and they came over to speakers and asked for a moment of silence. I took a knee.
Yeah.
I took a knee because I remember that day. And some people looked at me, they continued on their day, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to show my respect for that horrific day. And then our plane was delayed on the tarmac because they had the event at the Pentagon, and it just gave me a chance to reflect. As I sat in that plane and remember that day. It was a beautiful fall day. And I remember being on Market Street at my office when those towers came down and getting that news and watching that TV all day. Sharon, I sent Sharon home. Sharon, my
Of course.
administrative assistant.
Yeah.
Sent her home and just say, go be with family today. I went to St. Patrick's when it existed. Went to the church, said a prayer, and just hugged my family very tight that day.
That's all we had. It's amazing to look back. It's hard to believe it's been 24 years, isn't it? And I think we've got to remember, like this thing always goes, we can't act like it's September 10th. We've got to remember it's September 12th, meaning that we can't. I know we can never forget, but that feeling, that unity as a United States of America, that we still need that in our hearts.
We do. We do. And just take a moment. I mean, that's part of being a citizen.
Yeah.
Just take a moment. I know it's busy. I know we're caught up in the day-to-day life and all the pressures and the good and the bad that come with it. But just take a moment. And, especially after a horrific action of the 10th, memorial on the 11th, it probably should give us pause, all of us. We live in a very special place.
We do.
And it takes all of us to make sure it stays that special and safe place that it is.
Now, Tom, you had mentioned, before we go, you mentioned you're working behind the scenes with a not-for-profit. Tell us exactly what your goals are and what you are doing there.
Yeah, so the Committee of the American Majority, that's a non-for-profit we set up to bring Democrats, Republicans together, kind of the Problem Solvers Caucus informally, if you would, where we convene people to build those friendships and trust amongst people. And these are existing leaders in DC, but also we identify future leaders and give them an opportunity to see how it can work, where you actually dialogue on an issue and respect each other, because there's no cameras, it's all off the record, and it's just an informal type of breaking bread together. And then the C3 is the Institute of Caring, and it's called the Institute of Caring because it's about new ways of governing. We're a think tank, if you would, where policy ideas are shared. We have the Caring Institute, which is the Caring model, which is a 30-year vetted, created expert way of replacing existing government services with a new system. If you want to read it, it's a book that we have. The Institute of Caring has it on its website, but it's also, we're open up to new ideas, because we get it. What worked 20 years ago, 50 years ago, may not work tomorrow in America. That's the beauty of America and the Constitution of it being a ever-living document. It allows us to change. And maybe there needs to be some change on a policy when we do business in Washington, D.C. and at the local government. So we're offering ideas. That's the point. And we're willing to put it in black and white, because you know what? Politics has to be set aside. In order for these new ideas to take root, it needs leaders, but it also needs new ideas that are vetted and able to withstand the scrutiny of public debate.
And isn't it interesting when you get together, and I think if people did this more, when you get together and if you didn't talk politics, if you didn't know who someone voted for, and you just realize that we're all humans, aren't those great conversations? It's sometimes until the politics gets involved, but I think people are shocked to learn that, oh wow, that person voted for Trump or that person didn't vote for Trump. We sometimes are run by maybe stereotypes or cliches.
Totally agree. And maybe what we could do is, when you have that conversation, you voted for Trump or you voted for Biden.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Yeah.
Why? Why did you feel that?
Yeah.
And my whole point on that is to be able to have a dialogue is something over the kitchen table.
I know.
I hear it too often. People are like, I can't even talk about politics in my own home.
I know.
That's a sign of a problem.
Right.
You've got to be able to talk about it.
And that's the problem when we talk about the root core, sometimes the media. I remember the first time Trump was elected, that's when the articles started coming out, what to say to your crazy uncle at Thanksgiving, or then it became, don't go to Thanksgiving. And you're going, this isn't healthy as a nation. You have to, if you can't talk to your family, who can you talk to?
And I'll tell you, our adversaries that I referenced, who are coming after America, that do not want America to be the world leader, they have a vision of a world where they control the levers. And I'm talking about adversaries in China,
Right.
Folks that don't agree, Russia, North Korea. You saw the assembly,
Of course.
the military parade last week.
And I
2
thought
weeks
of you
ago.
because we talked about it so many times.
So often.
Yeah.
And those are adversaries that don't believe the way we believe. So if you think this is just a domestic problem where we're Republicans and Democrats fighting with each other, we're playing right into the hand of that geopolitical shift that is coming. It's a moment of choosing, as I call it, as I put out in my statement. And I choose to stand with the Churchill body, with the people. And Chamberlain was the leader of World War II. On the other side, he stood with his aristocratic friends and tried to play nice and say he was standing with the people. And if it worked out, that's great. But he was doing deals with the devil. And that devil, we all know, was in Hitler in Nazi Germany. And to me, that same moment of choosing is coming. I have firmly put down a marker. I'm on the side of Churchill.
Well, thank you. I do too. I'll do that too, Tom. That's an easy one. Right? Well, Tom, thanks for giving us so much time this morning. Let's do this again real soon because I do want, maybe sometime we'll block off a good section of the program because I want to talk more about China, Russia, and Iran like we did the last time because this isn't a story that's going away.
Not going away, and it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And in the meantime, just hug your family a little tighter, hug your loved ones, and reach out to a stranger and say, you know what, I'm proud to be an American. Let's at least shake hands and respect each other.
I agree. Tom, we'll see you soon. You're looking great.
Thanks, my friend. You too.
All
Look
right.
forward to seeing you in person.
Soon. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
care.
Stay. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. We've got a lot of comments coming up in just a moment, but first, in the Hesselson studio, welcome back to Barbara Blumer.
Hello, how are you?
This is different than last time. This is about, and in full disclaimer, I'm very proudly a member of the group we're about to talk about. Let's talk about Corning Dwayne Eddy Circle. What is it?
Corning Dwayne Eddy Circle. Well, it's
self-explanatory.
Well, it kind of is, but not a lot of people know that Dwayne Eddy was born in Corning, Corning Hospital. Dwayne's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. A lot of your viewers do know because you're a big fan. In fact, didn't you want him from the very beginning on
Right
your
from the
show?
beginning. So the first
That's sort of the origin of this whole thing. So
Yeah.
tell us about that.
The first radio show I ever did, so they put me on the spot. I'd never done a radio show before. And then they said, you got to fill 3 hours.
Yeah.
And in my mind, having never done a radio show, I could easily fill 3 hours on why Dwayne Eddy should have like something, a sign or something in Corning. And it lasted probably a good 15 minutes, but that's not doing it for 3 hours. So I had to switch topics quickly. But yeah, so then 10 years later, on my 10-year anniversary, I contacted a few people and finally got to interview them. And that's kind of where this all began. And here we are today with a very big announcement of what's going to be happening during Harvest Fest.
I know. But you did have a relationship with Dwayne, and I think Dwayne and Deed, and it's been nice that it's taken a long time.
Right.
But next week, next Saturday at 2 p.m. in the park behind the clock tower, what's going to happen?
The best spot in Corning.
The best spot in Corning.
I really do believe so. That's when we're going to unveil the historical marker for Dwayne Eddy. No one's really seen it. Just a few.
Because it's undercover.
It's been, if you've been to the farmer's market and you wonder what the garbage bag has been about all summer long, that's what it is. But
I wanted to give a shout out to the Department of Public Works because they really helped us. They got it installed. They covered it up.
Which was such a relief.
It's waiting and ready to go for the big unveiling.
They're the only ones that have seen it, us and them.
I know.
And when you think about it, Deed, Dwayne's wife, has not seen it. I do always like to say, because I've had people say, well, why it takes so long, these type of things, things take a while, right?
Yeah.
But one thing I think that's very important that people know is Dwayne was very aware of this before his passing. And I think that's because I know sometimes people say, why did you wait till after? That was not the case. It was just things take time. And in my opinion, it's went pretty smoothly. How long have we been? We
started on April 4th of 24 at 4 p.m. And it was 4/4/24, 4 p.m.
Yeah.
And our goal was to build awareness that Dwayne was born in Corning and do something permanent to recognize him. And we weren't sure what we were going to do at the beginning. We were mostly doing PR around his birthday and doing things like that. And we have stickers. I brought some stickers to show in case anybody today wants to support us. We'll give you a sticker.
There you are.
And also like things like just getting people to understand that Corning values and Corning people from Corning are very special, because that's partially how I got involved, because you and I were doing the show about the people wall and the mural in City Hall and all the special people from Corning. And I don't think I knew that Dwayne was from Corning back then, but I've watched a lot of video of Dwayne and interviews of him, and he's such a nice man, and his values come from when he lived here. And his parents are from, his father's side is from Towanda, which is about 20 miles from here in Pennsylvania, but his mother's from Waverly, and they got married and lived here in Corning. It was their first home that they had, and he was born in Corning Hospital, and his father worked for Cobeco. So it's really great because he was sort of, and Dwayne tells some good stories about what it was like to be born here, and then he has some good ones from Corning, but then he also lived in Bath and went up to Penn Yan. So his formative years as a young man are from here, and he never forgot that, and he talks about it all the time. You can speak to that.
Well, right, and what I like too, and we've talked about this a lot on this program and elsewhere, that he was always proud of Corning.
Right.
And the old line was, and he said it in our first interview, is that his first bio said something to the extent of, the people of the city of Corning may not know this, but Dwayne Eddy was born there. And I think that, and when I wrote that op-ed that time when I was angry, I said that. I think that they still don't know. So that's when we decided to kind of start doing the PR campaign and spread the word that we have a rock and roll Hall of Famer that was born right here in Corning, and people are kind of shocked to learn about it. But he never shied away from the fact. I was watching an interview, and you've seen it, on the Ray Stevens show.
Right.
And it comes up naturally. He's very proud. And when he visited, he was very proud to see the street. And
he basically told the world that he was born in Corning.
Yes.
And he was, and it's really great. But also another thing about the whole thing about Corning is that, and I learned this when I was doing the People Wall, that many people that had a touched base with us. We're a community where people come and go, but they always look back on and say good things about Corning. Yes. I mean, it's amazing to me how strong people feel about Corning. And so putting the historical marker over where it is in the park, it's kind of near where the concerts take place. It's in the community, and it's just a symbol of the fact that we have special people in Corning. That's what it means to me, in addition to the fact that Dwayne was a very influential, enduring musician. I saw that article in Guitar World that you sent around, the Joe Bonamassa thing, and it talks about how his music is enduring, and that he was the most influential instrumental guitarist from the 50s and the 60s, and influenced everyone. And I just think a lot of people do a lot of special things, and they might not be a household name, but they're very special, and they contributed a lot.
I couldn't agree more. And you actually had what an amazing honor, I guess, to go to the Nashville tribute. We talked about that a little bit on the program at the Ryman, of all places.
Right.
How was that?
That was really cool, because I didn't know what to expect, because I'd never been to the Grand Ole Opry.
Right.
And but it's like almost like a church environment, and you feel close to the audience. And they did the same thing you do with where they only come on and do a couple of songs at a time. So they had musicians from Vince Gill came. I was surprised that Vince Gill was there, but it turns out he plays a Dwayne Eddy guitar, and he really admired him. And but they had a lot of famous people. One of the ones, the E Street Band guy, that he came, and I'll look up his name because I can't remember his name right now. Well, what surprised me about that was that the E Street Band, Bruce Springsteen's band, copied Dwayne's band by putting their famous saxophone player up front. Yeah. In addition, he just glowed and talked about Dwayne. Maybe he didn't perform, but it was 2 or 3 hours worth of musicians coming in and playing Dwayne's music, talking about what he meant to them, to the industry. Joe Bonamassa, Peter Frampton ended the show.
Huge fan.
Jim McPherson was there. Yep. A lot of the younger artists too.
Yeah, I mean they
had great guitar players.
Oh, Joe Bonamassa, like you said, I mean he's known for being
the young ones they brought in, and they played, young. That's another thing about Dwayne. So many young guitar players learned Dwayne's music.
Yeah.
That's what they learned and practiced on.
Yeah.
Just the famous
because
ones.
it's also
Ben told me a story about his kids down the street
marriage.
learning about it.
Well, because it's perfect too, because it's instrumental. He's known
Yeah.
for instrumental, so you don't have to worry about singing quite yet.
And you have to learn the technique. You have to
Mm-hmm.
learn how to do the, I
all
don't know all the
that-
terms.
But for people that don't know, it's that twang sound. I mean, he invented
was very special.
the twang sound, and he's a guitarist, and that really says something. And so we've got the tribute or the dedication coming up on September 20th. That's during Harvest Fest
At
There's-
2 o'clock.
At 2 o'clock, there's going to be
Everybody's welcome.
and free and open to the public. There's going to be
We're
a
just
lot
going
of
to
dignitaries.
gather around the marker.
Yeah, I'm putting up the poster on the screen right now. Gather around the marker, unveil it. You get to finally see it after the whole summer of just having a garbage bag wrapped around it. But
Oh, but the mayor's going to be
the mayor's going to be doing. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you going to tell him that?
Yeah, should we give it away?
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I don't
Maybe
know.
we should. The mayor's going to be doing something very,
Very
special.
special, very special. So
And
just
Dwayne's
put that-
family's coming.
Yep. And there's going to be a lot of dignitaries, a lot of people. But it's not a very long event.
No, 15 minutes,
About
I think,
15,
max.
20, yeah, because there's so much going on during Harvest Fest in the Gaffer District. There's bands, ironically, right, playing
Right.
back to back. So we have the set change, I guess, is what you call it. We've got that time, which is perfect for us. We're really
And you
looking
can
forward to it.
still donate, by the way, if you wanted to.
At
And
the
we're
Corning
putting
Twang.
names in the program. Did you put that on the
Yep,
screen?
corningtwang.com. So if you want to be in the program, and I'll
Yeah,
give this away.
I had a cover. I made a cover.
Okay. Well, and what I'll say is, because what we did is make it a little special. We asked some of the people that look up to Dwayne Eddy. We haven't really given this away yet, but to send in some quotes. And we've
Yes.
got some amazing quotes. And I'm not going to give them away, but if you want your name listed in a program with the likes of, I don't know, Richie Blackmore, Albert
not gonna
Lee,
give 'em away.
I'm not, just a couple, just let a few slip in there. If you want your name in with those people, all you got to do, and there is no set amount.
No.
We're
We're just trying to be inclusive. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, we want everybody, because people, because I've been along and you have too, but this journey for so long, people have always been very supportive. Nothing's ever just came out of it, right? Until now. So I think what the idea is behind the program is we want everybody who has been along for this journey and considers themselves, and rightfully so, a part of this journey, to be included and be thanked, right?
Right. Speaking of other people, Linda Reimer from the library has been a big part of our group in the Dwayne Eddy Circle, and Dick Puccio, who is retired from Marich, and then Ben, who owns Marich today. And we also have this Ben County historian, Griffin, involved in our group. But it's been this little core group that's we've been working hard to get this marker together, and it's been really fun, but it's also been a lot of work.
Well, I think sometimes the 2-hour meetings weren't necessary. I think sometimes we get having fun, too much fun talking about it all. But no, we've had a lot of meetings, and we're
And you have and
proud
the
of it.
posters around town. We have little flyers. It's been fun, but but I think it's also going to be just very special. I'm excited because it's only a week away.
Yeah, I know.
We're
hard to
counting
believe.
down the days, and we never thought that we could pull this off, but we have.
But-
And when the city has been great.
We can't thank the city and the library and so many people.
Yeah.
We got to make sure to put that in the program too. But the city has been great and so
Yeah.
supportive of it. Because I thought, just the way my mind works, that is such a good spot that it's
Yeah.
at that I thought there may be some jealousy. Because I mean, I can't believe it hasn't been picked before. Maybe that's just me because I'm so proud of it, and we all are so proud of it. What are you looking forward to the most during the ceremony?
I think that it'll be fun to have it revealed when we pull off the curtain, and
the
it's
bright
actually
colors.
and because it looks good.
The
and
bright
the words that we have on there are lasting and good, and I also think it just fits with the. It almost looks like it belongs there. It's not a sort, it just fits.
I agree.
But also just to see some of the people that we've been gathering around. A lot of people might be out of town that weekend. I know it's a popular one, but some of the people that come, I mean, we don't always see them. We just hear about them or we communicate with them on email. So I'm looking forward to also seeing the people in the crowd.
I can't wait to see Deed, because I know how excited they were when they received, in the call that I got when Dwayne and Deed received the plaque from the Steuben County Hall of Fame. And, so I was excited to hear them. I can't wait to see when she sees it. And
I don't think
the
she's going to
location.
believe it.
I don't either. It fits so perfectly there. My prediction is before too long, in a couple of years, people are just going to call it the Dwayne Eddy Park. That's my theory, because it's right at center. They're not even going to know. There's another
Well,
name
I think
for
we
it.
can, even if you don't know Dwayne Eddy was born in Corning, you can learn. It's something we can be proud of. And it's sort of like a good news story right now, and
Yes, which would be
and
great.
which is great,
Yes.
and also. I think that Corning over the years isn't just a glass town. It does a lot of other things. And music is an element of the arts that we can all
Embrace.
Music brings people together. Like food brings people together. Music's really important to our culture.
I couldn't agree more. And that's one thing I'm glad that you mentioned, because we said you can go to corningtwain.com to donate, to be in the program, but also to find out about Dwayne's connection. There's a lot of history there.
Yes,
so if
it's still a work in progress, but there's tons of information.
But if you want to do a deep dive, that's the place to go, because I would say it's probably the most extensive, that's probably easy to say, most extensive collection of Dwayne and Corning.
Right. But also, we should say it's Corning Twang, because maybe people don't know that twang is his sound, and the twangy sound. A lot of his albums were named after the twang, and it's something that he had to live with his whole career. But but it really is twangy. It's almost like reverbs on the guitar, like with a, I don't know. It's very, you got to listen to his music,
and you can hear some of it on the website.
But
too.
That's what is his unique sound.
Well, we got to get going. This has been great. All
right.
What's the future of the group?
I don't know.
All right, stay tuned. We'll let you know.
Right.
All right, join us September 20th at 2 p.m. here in Corning.
Please
say hi.
Come.
Yeah,
It'll
please
be
say
fun.
hi. Please say hi.
Or wave at us.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to be on stage. Thank you. Stay
It's
with
always
us.
good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Come on again soon. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this. Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back. I don't even have my headphones in. I was reading all your comments, trying to catch up, because we've had former Congressman Tom Reed on the program. And then, of course, we had Barbara Blumer, who just joined us. We appreciate that. Again, let me do this. The big festival, the festivities, the historic marker dedication coming up Saturday, September 20th, next Saturday at 2 p.m. Please join us. Let's go through viewer comments, and we'll end on a Climate Fact Friday with Bob. But sit back and relax. These are great. Some are in reference to our interview, by the way, with Tom. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Tom, we are under attack spiritually as well in this country. I would agree. Comment from a different viewer. I'm old enough to remember the Martin Luther King Jr. and the JFK assassinations. This reminds me of those times. All young men leaving young children. We can all focus on the negative or the positive in America. Look for the common ground that unites us. If we do this, we will win and keep our fragile republic. That's great. I couldn't agree more. I see other comments coming in. My goodness. You're exactly right. If we do this, we will win and keep our fragile republic. Mark writes in, I never listened to Dwayne Eddy, but I just did. Rebel Rouser, it's pretty neat. His memorial should be special. I think it's going to be very special. He has other great songs. Rebel Rouser is probably his biggest song, but you're just put on the greatest hits and relax someday, and you'll love it. I know you will. Comment from a different viewer, the less political attacks are giving Putin cover in Ukraine. It shows America divided and unable to respond to world conflict. They will lose here and Russia will win over there. The point that you make, and I think we may have glanced over when we talked with former Congressman Tom Reed, but think of how, look at China, look at Russia. I mean, they're watching this with glee, the divide in this country. This is one of their goals. Ken writes in my opinion, Tom Reed and most Republicans love the country for all it stands for and want to give back in some way. And most Democrats love this country for what they can get from it and always want to take more. Thank you, Ken. Comment from a different viewer. With a number of people in education making horrible comments on Charlie, look how the left has hijacked education and turned it into political indoctrination. And that's why, yes, you have a right to free speech, but there's also repercussions. And these educators, and as I said, I don't want to jump in because we have so many comments, and then I'll read some of what's going on in the news. But there's a whole article today at the New York Post of various teachers throughout the country exposed for that bias, that hatred of Charlie Kirk, and they are going in the classroom. You're telling me that guy from Naples, that he's going into his physics class and he's that unhinged in the death of an assassination of a 31-year-old man and celebrating it, that he's going in and staying completely unbiased in his classroom? Come on. Okay, Pete writes in, hi, Pete. I'm sure the FBI will get Charlie's assassin in due course. And once that happens, I hope they will dig deep into his connections, inspirations, engagements, and support. And if he got so much as a bottle of water from Soros or similar left-wing activist organizations, bring them down and lock them up on accessory or conspiracy murder charges. The consequences should be deep and wide. I agree Totally. There needs to be a full investigation into every aspect of this person's life and I hope you're right that the assassin is caught in due course. Ken writes in, did you see the comment from the corrupt, incompetent, American-hating Ilhan Omar? She is the worst of the worst. Yes, I'm sorry I beat you to the punch on that, Ken, right before the break. But yes, I did see that. That's a representative celebrating the assassination of someone that they disagree with. Good morning, Frank. Scott again. Hey, good morning, Scott. I think Charlie Kirk scared the, we'll say, heck out of the Democrats. His killer will either die from a self-inflicted act or will be killed in a shootout. He will never face a judgment. Everyone knows what happens when that road is taken. Or maybe he does get caught, signs a promissory note to come back to court and just disappears. Yes, I mean, that's what happened in North Carolina. Thank you, Scott. Comment from a different viewer. Jack absolutely agrees that Charlie was on his way to the presidency and historical greatness. If the forces of evil have the ability to see into the future, sadly, what better way would evil be able to counter such potential greatness? Charlie Kirk will be missed but never forgotten. If there's any comforting positive spin on this sad tragedy, his assassination will remain a marker in history equal to a level of Lincoln, the Kennedys, and MLK. God certainly blessed us and America with his level of unique greatness. Thank you. That's very nice, Jack. That's a very nice tribute to Charlie Kirk. Comment from a different viewer. The teacher from Naples reminds me of the old saying, brains and common sense don't always run hand in hand. He's certainly ignorant of the facts and full of hatred. Hey, thanks, Farmer John. It's good to hear from you. Comment from a different viewer. Watching a lot of young reporters' questions also show their educational bias. Most start questions by saying, what about Republicans, rather than acknowledge the truth. You're exactly right. And before I read Climate Fact Friday with Bob, you're exactly right about that, because that's taught. That's ingrained at journalism school. So there's nothing more important. There's nobody more lionized in journalism school than Woodward and Bernstein, because they brought down a sitting Republican president in their mind. So yes, they are coming in. I agree with you. I was reading the Associated Press this morning, they have an update page on the search for Charlie Kirk's assassin. And I was looking at it, and I can't remember which article it was, but it reeked of such bias that I said, well, this is no longer interest me. I just want to find the facts. But to try to twist this as if, well, what about this? What about Republicans said something? It's rough. A comment from a different viewer. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning. I haven't commented in a long time, but I'm completely disgusted by the vile comments by some people. True evil does exist, and we must all stand against it, left, right, or independent. I could not agree more. It is. I'm not naive either. I've been in this political realm for a long time. I'm not naive, but after seeing the comments on social media the day of the assassination and yesterday, I was shocked by what you would deem as some friends and neighbors. And I don't mean social media friends. I mean people that, maybe you went to school with or whatever, or someone that posted a nice thing, and then you read their the other people's comments and saying, yeah, but it's heartbreaking. I mean, that's why I ask, how do we heal? I don't have the answer. If I did, I'd be in, I suppose, Washington right now. All right. Good morning, Frank, from Climate Fact Friday, Bob, on the somber, sad Friday. I was going to postpone my weekly climate facts. Then I asked myself, what would Charlie say? Being the true patriot he was, I think he would have wanted us all to move forward with our lives. So on we go, picking up the banner and continuing to march for freedom and truth. Thank you. That's so well put, Bob. An article in the American Meteorological Society Monthly caught my attention recently. They say that the Arctic is melting at a record pace. Ice in some areas is gone, exposing rocks and bare soil as far north as the 81 degrees on the map. They also predict sea level rises that will make some coastal regions disappear. According to the Commerce Department, the ocean is too warm for seals, and it is disrupting wildlife's natural feeding patterns. The kicker is the article was written in November of 1922. Then it got cold again in the 30s and 40s, and the Arctic went back to normal. This warming and cooling is just a normal pattern that we see to this day. Thanks. Have a safe and thankful weekend. We are in a great country. We are in a great country. Thank you, Climate Fact Friday, Bob. I appreciate it. We appreciate it every Friday, and I'm glad that you sent in on this somber Friday. Listen to that. Well, no, we got to take a break. Unfortunately, we are going to bring to you some of that so many people have commented on, the vile, evil statements that people have been making, because it's important to know exactly where people's minds are after the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk. But we need to take a break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio on Market Street in Corning. So Steve Cody, he's a councilman in Palmetto Bay, Florida. He is being called to resign his position after he published a post on Facebook. And we're going to go through some of these quick. He appeared to mock the Christian faith of Charlie Kirk in the immediate moments after his assassination. Cody, a Florida Democrat, again councilman, was on his personal account sharing a quote by Kirk defending Second Amendment rights, calling the political organizer and television host a fitting sacrifice at the altar of gun rights. Quote, Charlie Kirk is a fitting sacrifice to our lords, Smith and Wesson, hallowed be their names. That was your first thought at an assassination. How do we overcome this hatred? I mean, again, when you have hatred pushed on you and corrupting you and perverting you for well over 10 years now, since Trump first decided to run, how do you, if you're predisposed to hatred, overcome that? David Axelrod, blamed despicable conservatives for declaring that we are at war. So we're despicable if we say this is a war for the country. David Axelrod said Trump is targeting people who disagree with him. This is during a discussion on the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So Trump is targeting people who disagree with him. Representative James Clyburn stated that President Donald Trump can speak out at this particular juncture and say to those people out on social media talking about taking revenge. So it is Trump's fault. He should be out telling people not to take revenge, and obviously they shouldn't take revenge. But it's the social media that I've been seeing, like Blue Sky, which if you're not familiar with Blue Sky, it's kind of a left-wing version of Twitter. They went on rants on there threatening Trump, Elon Musk, Ben Shapiro immediately after Kirk's assassination. Did you see the video of the person, by the way, at the rally, at the event, that after the shot rang out, he started jumping up and down and cheering and saying, "We got Charlie"? I mean, that's what this hatred looks like on Blue Sky. People just text out, can we do Ben Shapiro next? J.K. Rowling next? Wow. The hatred. Some calling it a game of whack-a-mole. Now, Blue Sky has warned users not to celebrate it, but too late. Author Wajah Ali called the shooting criminal, wrong, and should be condemned. But, there's always that but, you can't just end it there, right? Adding that Kirk was a horrible, hateful man who targeted marginalized groups, saying, I refuse to sanitize him. Comedian John Fugelsang wrote, do these idiots even realize that shooting Charlie Kirk makes you a worse person than Charlie Kirk? Oh, I bet you got some pushback on that. Others posting the person who motivated the shooting of Charlie Kirk was Charlie Kirk. That's on the left-wing social media app, Blue Sky. It gets a lot worse from there. MSNBC's Sherman, what's his first name? Her first name, I'm not sure. I don't watch enough, I suppose. Jake Sherman said, there's a desire, that's not much follow-up. To their credit, both Representative Mike Johnson and Senator John Thune have said this is for some time. Johnson has, I will say, with little impact because his membership, the House Republican Conference, is not interested in toning down the rhetoric. And Democrats, for that matter, either, in turning down the rhetoric. Derek Van Orden said to a gaggle of reporters today that it's our fault that Kirk was shot and killed horrifically because I don't really know what his reasoning was. And it actually doesn't matter because that's exactly the kind of commentary that Mike Johnson is trying to stay away from. So again, it's the victim blaming. It is the...
You're watching Big Fox, WIDC TV.
I hit the wrong button instead of the wave. My apologies. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox. But on that note, we do actually have to take a break here in just a second. I apologize for that, but we were actually on the right break, so that works out okay. A couple comments from viewers. Good morning, Frank. Hey, Karen. Thank you for writing in. The vile comments are helpful to the rest of us, revealing those voices for the villains they are. God bless, and thanks for another good show. Have a good weekend. Thank you very much. So we talked about the article of the teachers celebrating Charlie Kirk and his assassination. In one typical example, a special education teacher at King Elementary School in Massachusetts named Samantha Marengo posted a video online of herself merrily singing God Bless America while grinning while standing before a breaking news report covering Kirk's assassination. We talked about in Naples. The list goes on and on. I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go through each one because we have so much. In a Seattle college campus, there was spray painted "Kill All Charlie Kirks" on a Seattle college campus wall. This is obviously a threat, said reporter Jonathan Cho, but what the far left doesn't realize is that the madness is actually catalyzing reasonable Americans to now say we are all Charlie Kirk. Courage is courageous. Let me try it again. Courage is contagious, and the movement will continue. Another disgusting message was spotted on a sign carried by a radical in downtown Seattle reading "Charlie Kirk shot, heck yeah," kind of thing. Texas history professor was fired. This isn't in reference to Charlie Kirk, but after allegedly calling for political violence at a socialist conference. A professor at Texas State University was axed Wednesday after a video of him allegedly advocating for political violence during a socialism conference went viral. So, again, everyone has the right to free speech. There are consequences to that free speech at times. A Secret Service employee who blamed Charlie Kirk, or who called Charlie Kirk racist, blamed karma for the assassination, has been put on leave. Anthony Poe, an employee of the Protective Agency, shared a clip of Kirk suggesting that about the Supreme Court. I don't want to go through each one. If you are mourning this guy, delete me. He spewed hate and racism on his show, especially when we should be mourning the innocent children killed in Colorado. Also, that's at the Secret Service, which is a little terrifying. Pete Hegseth has denounced the military service members who have made statements justifying or celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk, promising that they will be addressed immediately. Did I read? Yeah, okay. We've got to take a short break because I realize we're running late and I got so many comments coming in. Stay with us. We will be right back with Frankly Speaking. Wow, are we already there? After this. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio. Viewer comments. I've noticed that women have become more vile in their comments about Charlie on social media. That could be. I don't know. Or maybe they're pretending. I don't know. I think a lot of the accounts are people trolling, but then the ones that I know personally, anecdotally, they're not. You know, they actually believe some of the vile things. Good morning, Frank from Karen. Good morning, Karen. I didn't read this, right? That's when I hit my wrong break. Hi, Karen. Even if not, I want to read it again. The vile comments are helpful for the rest of us, revealing those voices for the villains they are. God bless, and thanks for another good show. Have a good weekend. Well, thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. Thank you for the 2 quotes this week as well. Ken writes in, the Sunday shows will be interesting this week. They will need to show deep empathy with the idea that political violence has no place in America while working hard to keep the smiles off their faces. Thank you, Ken. And final comment here for this section. Get your last second comments in because we're just about ready to wrap things up. As I've looked at the vile comments on social media, I noticed that the comments profiles are usually a cartoon picture. I believe that these people need to be exposed and not able to hide themselves. It might slow down or soften the way people speak, knowing that they cannot hide their identity. Thank you very much. We talked about the bias in Wikipedia earlier this week. Well, Wikipedia editors are now twisting the fact in a shameless move to smear Charlie Kirk, again trying to make him the villain. DC cancels a comic book series after the writer posts about Charlie Kirk's death on social media, so losing his job. Gretchen Felker Martin tweeted out after the assassination, "Hope the bullet's okay." Actress, I don't know, Amber Tamblyn, she went on Blue Sky again, which is kind of the far left Twitter, saying, "Wish granted." Under an article highlighted, Trump ally Charlie Kirk suggests children should watch public executions. She responded, "Wish granted," almost mocking the fact that Charlie Kirk's daughter witnessed the gory assassination. Wow. One of the vigils for Charlie Kirk in Idaho State at the Idaho State Capitol actually broke into a brawl. Listen to all this. CBS's Nate Burleson on CBS Mornings asked Kevin McCarthy if this is a moment for Republicans to reflect on political violence. Now, remember ex-NFL star Tim Tebow? He became a Binghamton Met for a little while. He tweeted, "Evil is real. There is no doubt the enemy is hard at work. These last few days, the weight of evil has been heavy across our nation. But this I know, it will not have the final word. One day, God will make all things right. Until then, we pray, we weep with those who weep, and we keep fighting, knowing the victory has already been won." Unger Sargon. Do I have time here? Yes, I do. I think I have to take one more break. Let me check here. I do have to take one more break. But he writes, or this article says, even as they condemn it, the left gaslights us about Charlie Kirk's death. Charlie Kirk and I had a lot we didn't agree on, but he used to bring me on his show, said Sargon. Unlike his leftist haters, the man who was martyred this week in Utah for spreading his conservative beliefs with vigor and love wasn't afraid to engage with views that contradict his own. The opposite, he sought them out. In the age of podcasters ensconced in the safety of their home studios, Charlie Kirk met young people where they were, on college campuses, and invited them to debate. This is how you fight polarization. This is how you fight violence. This is what it means to be an American, to crave the voices of those you disagree with and the rush of trying to convince them. And it is that led to his murder. A culture on the left opposed to honest, spirited debate has demonized the views of the other side as hateful as fascism, as Nazism. When you call your political opponents Hitler enough time, you've signed their death warrants. Who wouldn't kill Hitler if given the chance? Yet even in their condemnations of Kirk's murder, Democrats are doubling down on the rhetoric that led to it. AOC tweeting, "The scourge of gun violence and political violence must end. The shooting of Charlie Kirk is the latest incidence of this chaos and it must stop. We cannot go down this road." Barack Obama saying this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Note the both siding. Note the passive tones. Even in their denunciations, the left is gaslighting us about the truth. The vast majority of the political violence in this country is coming from one side, and they are unwilling to take an ounce of responsibility for it. And the media is not going to cover it either. You can find this full piece at the New York Post. Joel Pollack, he writes for Breitbart, and he talked about his time when Charlie Kirk wrote for Breitbart as a high school student. And he talks about Charlie being inspired by Andrew Breitbart. In the spirit of citizen journalism, upon which Breitbart was founded, they encouraged Charlie Kirk to write down his thoughts and submit them for publication. Charlie never looked back. He built his career that way, with words and with courage. It took incredible bravery and mental sharpness to debate people with opposing views on college campuses, taking all comers and all questions. His mind was clear and uncorrupted by what our universities had become. He understood that civil discourse was the way which fueled his ability to debate anyone, anywhere. Charlie proved to be not only an exceptional debater, but an exceptional organizer, fundraiser, and administrator, launching Turning Point USA, which changed untold amount of American youth. And in doing so, he inspired millions, sharing his faith. He was not afraid to take a chance on an unpopular view. Pollack writes, "I'm furious about his assassination. Despite having little information about the assassin, I believe the left has created a landscape that normalizes violence against the right. And I believe the left has never had to answer for its violent rhetoric. Not after the shooting of a Republican baseball practice in 2017, not even after the assassination attempts against President Trump last year. There was no soul searching, there was no investigations, there were no calls for civility. Much of the left simply went back to talking about Trump and his supporters, as it has always had, in ways that ultimately would lead to violence. But I have to put that anger aside, not because his enemies deserve mercy, but because of who Charlie was and not how he died. He was assassinated doing what he loved and what he did so well. He was exercising his right to free speech and encouraging civil dialogue among any who would participate. He wanted his opponents to be as free as he was, even when they were hateful and wrong. I knew a happy warrior once who changed my life. His name was Andrew Breitbart. Charlie Kirk was likewise a happy warrior who changed the lives of so many." Brilliant Hollyhan has a piece of Fox News this morning that said, "Charlie Kirk believed in me and my generation. We should honor him by speaking with courage." Now, Brilliant Hollyhan is a 19-year-old political commentator. Amazing. He said, "Charlie once told me the left may have all the money in the world, but they'll never outwork me. He kept that promise until the very end. Now it's up for us to keep working, to out-hustle, outlast, and out-talk the culture of silence that wants to shut us down. May his memory not only inspire us, but move us to action. Because if Charlie Kirk taught me anything, it's that one conversation can change a life, and enough courageous conversations can change a nation. We got to take our last break before we wrap things up on today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Stay with us. We'll be right back. The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. We are back broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. A couple comments from viewers. Good morning, Frank. Well, good morning, Rick. I see where Trump's buddy Peter Mandelson, the British ambassador to the UN, or to the United States, got canned because of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Who's next, folks? I feel bad about Charlie. May God watch over his family and friends. Trump is blaming this on a lunatic lefter. Could very well be. It wasn't that long ago that a large group of lunatic far-righters attacked the Capitol building. Why can't Trump own that? Have a good weekend. Thank you, Rick. Comment from a different viewer. With New York City about to become socialist, the left knows it won't be long before they control speech because that's what every socialist or communist government does first. Thank you. Comment from a different viewer. With all the vitriol the left is spewing, it wouldn't surprise me if the assassin thought of himself as a hero. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I agree. And finally, Mark writes in, great show today. I hope Americans are praying for Charlie Kirk and his family. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Mark. Oh, and one other comment from a different viewer. Just an observation. Those trees that line Market Street are getting noticeably more colorful from day to day. Have a great weekend. They sure are. And you'll notice if you go into any business on Market Street, you start to see those little orange leaves everywhere. And you'll start to find them in your car and somehow at your home. Anybody that works on Market Street knows that to be the case. Before we go, a couple of headlines that I think are worth mentioning. Jack Posbiek writes, Charlie Kirk died as he lived, bold, unashamed, and anchored in faith. David Marcus writing, progressive madness killed Charlie Kirk, a once-in-a-generation leader. Many people saying that he could have been a future president. And I thought this was an interesting way of putting this by Douglas Murray. Charlie Kirk's death must remind us and those with despicable response to it that life is not a computer game. And he kind of goes on to explain how that's really what it feels like to some of these people, that it's all just a computer game and you hit restart and everything's back to normal, and it's not the case. It's so easy for these people not to look into Charlie's eyes or the eyes of his young wife and children that he leaves behind. It's so much easier to treat it all like a computer game, but this isn't a game, he writes. Howard Lutnick, of course, has a piece out, well, I say of course, but you know Howard Lutnick as the Secretary of Commerce. From 9/11 to Charlie Kirk's murder, America faces evil and defeats it with its goodness. Charlie will be remembered for his kindness, his loyalty, his devotion to America. I'm confident his killer will face swift justice because evil has no place in this country. Fiercely defending America and our people from threats, both internal and external, doesn't mean we've given up on our compassion and moral high ground as a country. We doggedly fight evil while still operating righteously. That duality is what makes America extraordinary. On September 11, 2001, I lost nearly everything, but I gained unshakable faith in a nation that rebuilds, endures, and never surrenders to evil. Now, yesterday, Stephen Collinson asked a question. After Kirk's murder, doesn't say assassination, but it is. An entire way of doing politics is at risk, and they're saying that politicians and others are keeping their public appearances down. Even Trump tightening security. Lawmakers scale back outdoor events after Charlie Kirk assassination. The list goes on and on. But let me end on some local positive notes. Sheriff Jim Allard, is pleased to announce that the Steuben County Sheriff's Office successfully passed its most recent New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services accreditation audit for standards involving hiring practices and law enforcement misconduct reporting standards. These standards are mandatory for law enforcement agencies across New York State, and agencies are regularly audited to ensure that these standards are maintained. Sheriff Allard said, the standards are important because they help to reinforce the credibility between our agency and the community that they are sworn to serve and protect. It helps to ensure professionalism, integrity, leadership, and service, the pillars of our core values. That does it for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Oh, Trump cheered on at Yankee Stadium by fans yesterday, said to the Yankees, you're going to win, and they did. He was joined by Elise Stefanik. Mike Lawler, Laloda, Miltakis, all joined him. Rudy Giuliani was there as well. All right, folks, that does it. Have a great week. A safe weekend. Thank you for all the amazing comments. I see I missed some that we're just not going to get to this morning. I apologize for that. We will be back Monday morning, so make sure that you join us. And thank you for spending a little time with us so we could have this moment to reflect these last 2 days and have the conversation. I can't thank you enough. We'll see you on Monday. I look forward to it already.